Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chat. My name is Bryan Kearney. Absolutely delighted today to be joined by singer extraordinaire Christian Burns. Christian, how are you?
I'm really good, Brian. Yeah, how are you, mate? You good?
Not too bad, not too bad. The first podcast in since the start of September, so it could be a little bit rusty, but I'm really looking forward to speaking to you today. Had a great laugh with you at Creamfield, so we can let people in on the details of that day where we sort of all felt a little bit of a return to normality.
Yeah, it was a little bit. It was weird. It was fantastic. But yeah, what a fun day that was. I think everyone was a little bit emotional even. You know, it was like I've been so long and been suppressed from doing shows and seeing people. So I wasn't working that day, but I just went there and I was just so happy to see things back on, you know. So that was great. It was great.
It was amazing, just from start to finish. Cause we'll go through the day for people watching or people are listening in. So we all met up in the Hilton near the airport. That's where all the artists were staying for Creamfields, and I was there. My wifey Del, Giuseppe Ottaviani, Neil Scarborough, who was involved with us at Music First, and yourself and myself and Neil. I don't think Giuseppe had ever met you in person before either, had he?
No, because me and Giuseppe, we've worked together. You know, we worked together. It was first started about a few years ago, and we've spoke a lot. You know, and we even did some stuff on lockdown together. But we'd never met in real life. So you know, it was always nice to meet someone. It's always a bit weird when you meet someone in real life and you've not met them and you work with them. You know, he's so familiar. But yeah, it was great to meet Giuseppe.
Yeah, so we were just sitting in the bar, the restaurant, in the hotel, and just sitting there having a couple of beers. And for yourself and myself, it was the first time that we probably had been in that sort of situation in about a year and a half, because obviously we've been locked down. We haven't been able to socialise with people. So just to be sitting around the table, chatting away, having a laugh, forgetting about all the nonsense that has gone over the last 18 months, it was just... It felt really, really good. And the one thing that I felt from that day, it felt like nothing had changed. It just felt like it was 2019 again. Everything was completely normal. I don't know whether it's to do with the UK. It just seems to have, they're just getting on with their lives. Yeah. Here in Ireland, it's starting off again, and the case numbers are going up and there's mass fucking panic, all that rubbish. It's so draining and frustrating, and I find it very triggering for myself that we're facing going into this shite again. But I'm not going in. I've talked too much about COVID on this fucking podcast already, so let's not go into that.
Yeah.
So it was just COVID. To be around. Yeah, exactly. So to be just around people, to have a laugh, to see people that I haven't seen Giuseppe in a year and a half. I've seen Neil a few times over the past year. Just to be around each other, where we're just talking to each other, and to have that sense of normality again was just really, really nice.
Yeah, it was a really good energy. I completely agree with you. And like I say, it was the first thing back, and I think everyone was just a bit like, just watching people. Look at people there, and like some people were hugging, some people were like doing this.
Yeah,
and it was just great to see everyone back, and it was great to meet you, Brian, and Neil and everyone. And yeah, we had such a great day. I just loved it. I was just running around Creamfields going, this is great. It was fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing. We were laughing and joking within like about 30 minutes of meeting each other. The stories were out and we were talking about stuff from years ago, and like even going a little bit deep on how we were feeling. So we were like, it was interesting for me to see how much we were sort of opening up to each other about stuff that we were going through. Because usually within this type of scene, it's all about showing how fucking great you are and the egotistical nonsense. But we were sort of just chatting away, saying, "Oh, we went through this, we went through that." It was refreshing for me to see, and especially from that day, that there was a lot of people who came up to me, like artists and just normal people who were into the music, saying how much they've enjoyed this podcast, how much it's helped them, and they were opening up to me about struggles they've been going through. There's one guy who I've known for a few years who came up and was talking to me, and he said that he actually went through a mental breakdown in the past 18 months. But the way he was speaking about it, he wasn't in a sort of a nervous way he was speaking about it. He was sort of real open and sort of owning it, and it's good for me to see that the conversation about the difficulties of life, because life is fucking difficult, and especially has been in the last year and a half. For people to be able to just talk to this stuff without fear of judgment or anything like that, it's really good for me.
Absolutely.
It's just that day, it was just so special. The weather was amazing. Just seeing people happy again, enjoying themselves, enjoying the music. It really did a lot for me, and I got such a boost from it. Just seeing people again, and to be back on stage and everything, it was incredible. I really enjoyed it.
I think it made us all realize that, you know, maybe we all did take it for granted, you know, when you're in it, and we realized how much we missed it all, you know, and you know, being together again like that was just magical. It was great, and it's something I didn't realize how much I'd missed it until I was back in that arena, back in that kind of, you know, social environment. And excuse me, in the throat there. But yeah, I mean, how was it for you? Like going back on stage, like for the first time in a long time, did you have a little bit of like, because I know for me, when I took a break from after BBMak and I didn't perform for like 3 years, and I was just, you know, I love what I do, but I had this little bit of, it was almost like nerves going back on stage, you know, because you think it's like riding a bike, you know how to do it, but first time you get on a bike after a while, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. So how was it for you going back on stage then? After
I remember, I think I was just talking to you at the side of the stage, and then I was at about 10 minutes to go, and I just sort of sat by myself, and I could feel my heart racing, and it was a nice nervousness. The butterflies are going. It was just, it was sort of a little bit surreal to have not played in a year and a half, and then to be playing at such an amazing show like Creamfields. It was just, I fucking loved it from start to finish of that set. I really enjoyed it, and I remember saying to you that there were certain tracks that I was working on that I know myself that I'm going to get emotional playing them. And it was with one of the new vocal tracks that I have done. I remember that. I did feel a bit emotional, and I was there was tears in my eyes, and I was having a little moment. And then in that moment, Will Atkinson came up and gave me a big hug and just broke me out of that moment. So he got me out of that thing, and I was back in the zone and loved it. But it was just I just loved it, man. And every gig that I've done since, I've fucking so much gratitude and appreciation to be back doing it, because I've missed it so much. Even the fact that I'm finishing my set, I'm getting back to the hotel, I'm sleeping for maybe an hour, and I have to get up and fly home. I'm not complaining about any of that shit anymore, man. I'm done with giving out. I'm just getting on with it. But to answer your question in a few words, it was just fucking so good, man. I loved it so much.
Well, I mean, that's the power of music, isn't it? You know, you got emotion. It's such a powerful thing. It's one of the most powerful things in the world, in my opinion. But I think, you know, for us performers and producers and writers, I think, you know, there's a hole in our lives, you know, that kind of absence of gigs and stuff. Because I don't know about you, Brian, but I like feed off that energy of the crowd, you know, that it's that positive feedback loop. And you really miss it, you know what I mean? You miss that connection with the crowd, and it's great with, you know, producing and being in your studio and having all this time to create. You know, I did loads of music and, you know, a full album and everything in lockdown, but there's something so special and so magical as an artist and as a performer about having that connection. And I think, you know, you could just see it in everyone's eyes, you know, in all the DJs and in the crowd as well. Everyone was so just happy and thrilled to be back doing what we love, you know, most, you know, going to gigs, performing. So yeah, it was a really special day for me, just to see everyone and just to see everyone just buzzing so much off being there, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was expecting people to look like a lot older and stuff, but like everyone actually looked, if not, they either looked exactly the same or they looked even better than they did a year and a half ago. So it's like everyone has slept for the last year and a half. They caught up on all the sleep deprivation over the past 10 years, and everyone's ready to go and do it again.
I mean, it could have gone a different way, because I know I started lockdown at the beginning of lockdown with like Domino's on speed dial, big stack of Stella on the side, just watching the news, yeah. You know, and then, you know, I decided, I thought, no, I'm going to be the size of a house if this ever ends, this thing, you know, so, you know, but yeah, you're right. I think everyone was ready. Everyone was ready. You know, everyone's been through their own stresses and tough times with COVID. It's affected everybody. Don't care who you are. it's affected everybody, you know, substantially in some way, whether it be your business or family or lost ones, you know. So I think, it was a long, hard road to get out and to get to where we are today. But I'm really hopeful about the future now. And I think, you know, we've in my opinion, is we've got to learn to just live with this, you know, with the virus. We can't keep, you know, they can't do that again, lock us all down. I won't do it.
No. Let's not go into that, but let's go back a little bit, and we'll sort of talk about your experience as a singer during the past year and a half. In terms of when this whole thing began and we saw so many changes in our life, where were you in the world when all this stuff began, and what was your experience at that time?
Well, I mean, my life just did a complete flip, because I was actually living in Los Angeles with my girlfriend at the time, and, you know, just getting on with life, enjoying it, you know, making music, doing gigs, and, you know, sun was out. And then, you know, I'd seen this popping up on the news, and I was like, okay, well, it's probably blow away. So I thought my bright idea was I'll go and rent one of those Airstream caravans, those silver caravans you get. So I booked one on Airbnb for 2 weeks. I thought, I'm going to go over to the desert for a couple of weeks. I'll come back when it's all blown over. So yeah, nice one, Christian. So anyway, I realized that, you know, every day everything was escalating, and I went to the shop to get some food. First of all, I got to the shop and we were fighting over pasta and beans. I was like, what is going on? This is crazy. So I was like, right, okay. So I got my stuff. I was walking back home, and there was a huge line of people queuing up to buy guns at the gun shop. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time this English lad went back to England, because I thought I didn't want to be locked in America, you know, away from family and all that. So I just left my studio, left my car, my apartment, you know, got on a plane, didn't know how long it was going to be, got back to England, went through a breakup 2 weeks later, and found myself homeless, basically, because I've left everything there. I was stuck in the UK then. So I went and moved in with my sister, which was going to be for a couple of months, which ended up to be about 8 months. I stayed there. Now, luckily, she's got a nice house, and there was room for me. But my life literally got just turned upside down. I had no studio because all my gear was stuck in Los Angeles. So I was like, you know, buying bits of gear and just like cobbling something together. And my sister had this little shed at the bottom of the garden. So I said, well, I can use that as a studio. So I set up this little studio in there, literally sat on a stool, set the studio up, and that was my escape, you know. Because it was really, you know, everyone went through really tough times, but I just thought, for me, it felt like everything got thrown on, you know, at the same time. All my gigs 35 gigs got, you know, cancelled, as is everyone else's did. You know, went through a breakup, had no home, no car. I was just like, wow, this couldn't. 22, and I remember on New Year's Eve on 2020, I was saying, this is going to be my year. This is going to be my year. And so I found myself in this position, and you know, after a couple of months of you know, just drinking Stella and watching the news and biting my nails and eating pizza, I started to feel like shit, as you can imagine. And something just switched in me. And I just went on this journey then to kind of help myself. And I actually just started exercising a lot, eating well. I set up this studio, and I just locked myself in this little shed, like literally, Bryan, all day. For months and months and months, I locked myself in this little studio, and I had like cushions from patio furniture to make the acoustics and all, because you couldn't even get it. You couldn't even go to the shop. Yeah. I mean, you remember what it was like. So I literally couldn't get anything. Everything was shut. So I was just doing what I could. And I'll be honest with you, I really did I really dug deep creatively as far as me as an artist. And I wrote this song, this album, this full album. I wrote this album of hope, you know, this album of hope in this real time of real struggle for me. And it was my escape, you know, to write these hopeful songs. I didn't want to be in this shed, kind of just manifesting all this sadness and struggle and singing about it. I didn't want to do that. So I thought, I want to manifest this hope for the future. And that's what I did. And, you know, being able to create like that and being able to just go in that little shed and close the door was my escape, you know. And it was music that got me through it, Bryan, honestly. Absolutely.
I think that's how it has been for a lot of people when you say that music has got them through this, because there was literally, I think music was like a distraction from how shit things were.
Yeah.
Like in terms of myself to get through it, was exactly the same. I just felt like you're just waking up every day. For me, and I've sort of identified with myself. I identify with myself in terms of my work and a DJ and a producer. So when that was taken away, I was sort of waking up every day, and I got up every day, and I did the same thing, and I get up and I go for a walk, and I'd never stay in bed or anything like that, but I was getting up every day, and I was sort of wondering what my purpose in life is. Yeah. So for me to get through it and to sort of, in my eyes, to stay relevant, I did a lot of streaming from my kitchen, so weekly mixes. Plus, it gave me something to focus on. I could pick a different team each week to focus on, and I think it helped me to get through it. Obviously, I look back at it now, and I'm like, geez, I'm back playing in front of a crowd, whereas last year I'm playing in front of an iPhone in an empty kitchen in the middle of November. Like, it was, but it's. You have to be flexible. Life is about, it's not about being strong, it's about being flexible. So you're adapting to whatever's going on in your life, and you're making the most of whatever situation you're in. And that's what I think I did well in the past year, to get through all of this and to sort of maintain a connection with the people who support me in my job and stuff. And I'm sure like you did the same. What did you do in terms of maintaining that connection with the people who follow you?
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as, aside from doing the music and, getting locked in my own space and just getting lost in the music, I do these lockdown little performances. So I did these things where it was like Lockdown Live Lounge, I called them. And that was the same thing. It kept me up, my mind occupied. And I did one with my dad. So my dad would record on his iPhone, him singing and me singing on my iPhone. And I'd get the two together, and I put them together in a video. Me and Giuseppe did one as well for our song Brightheart. And, I spent time doing these videos, and then I put them out, into the world and social media, and just do something. I thought, I've got to just have some output, I was writing stuff which wasn't going to get released, and the labels weren't releasing anything. But that really helped me. And, even just talking to, everyone in the comments and stuff really, really helped me. And just having that connection, because I did feel, a little bit isolated, as everyone did in their own way. So that really helped me. So I did a lot of that. And I did more lives as well. I mean, just going on Facebook Live or, Instagram Live and just talking to people, it really helped me. And then actually I discovered Clubhouse, when that came out. And that was pretty amazing for me, because it was just like...
What's that, Christian?
Clubhouse. Do you know what Clubhouse is?
No.
All right, well, Clubhouse, it's, if you've not heard of it, it's the same as, Twitter Space. I've got Twitter Spaces now. So basically, it's a social media platform, but there's no pictures, there's no video, there's no text. It's just audio. Okay, so you're just talking like a group of people. You see the little heads, and you're just talking. So you might pick a room that says meditation, and you go in that room and everyone's talking about great ways to meditate, affirmations, or people are talking about music production and the future of music production. So I got into that, and it was really, really good, actually. And then me and BT, we started doing, and we're still doing now, every Wednesday, 9 p.m, we go on Clubhouse, and we help, young artists, aspiring artists. We help with feedback, and we help with songwriting tips, and whatever else we can help with, really. But it was really fantastic, that, because I could just, I was in this little shed and I was working away, and then I'd take a break, and then I'd put Clubhouse on, and I'd be like, started to make friends with all kinds of people, just plumbers and like anyone. It wasn't just musicians. Literally had this little crew of people, and I started making these rooms called the Dog and Duck, which was like a little pub sort of thing. And on a Friday, we'd all join this room, and the same people would pop in, and we'd all have a beer, and we're just talking to each other. And I think it was that sense of community that I really missed. And I think, as much as we bitch about social media and how toxic it is and everything, during lockdown, things like that, they really helped me. It was a really massive support. And, I made some great new friends as well. So yeah. So if you've never tried, you should pop into the room on one Wednesday, Brian. Come and have a chat.
I'll see if I can bring some plumbers with me.
Bring some plumbers. We need a few plasterers as well at the minute now. So yeah.
And in terms of the financial situation for yourself in the last year and a half, have you taken any steps to sort of maintain your financial situation? Have you started anything? Because I think you mentioned something to me about the academy or something like that.
Yeah, well, like everyone in the music industry, you know, all got rugged. All my gigs went and everything. I found myself in a bit of a pickle, you know, because, you know, being musicians, if you live off your royalties, it's like, okay. So I was like, right, okay, I've got to do something else here. So I had this idea, even before lockdown, to start an academy to teach people who want to become a featured vocalist, who want to do what I do, or who want to be able to record their own vocals at home or write songs. Had this idea to do it a couple of years ago. About 2 or 3 years ago. But you know what, Brian? I never had the time to do it because it was a big thing to do, a big task to take on. So I never had the time to do it. So I then found myself, you know, with all the time in the world. So I built this academy. Yeah. So I built my first online course, which is called Record Ready Vocals. And I launched that last December. And then I started working on another program, which is called the Top Line Transformation Program. And this is a 12-week program that I take people on, which takes them from, you know, not even knowing what a digital audio workstation is to being able to like write and record their own songs. And then, you know, how to connect with people in the music industry. And, you know, I found myself again, you know, speaking to people over Zoom, you know, during lockdown, helping them out, mentoring them. And I didn't realize, you know, first of all, I thought, right, okay, this is great. I've got all this knowledge. I can share it. But I didn't realize how much, you know, in my own selfish way, I would feel rewarded from actually connecting with people and really helping them. So for me, it was, yeah, I can get some extra income, you know, because the music industry is kind of on pause at the minute. But the biggest benefit for me was actually just the biggest reward was just helping all these people and having this connection with people. And I jump on with them every week. It's really what kept me sanity going. Brian, honestly, mate, it was something amazing. So yeah, you know, we'll come out of lockdown now and everything's turning back on and everything, even though the world's still a bit broken, you know. So I've kind of done a lot of the work on the academy, and now it's just going from strength to strength. So and I'm loving it. So I now fit that into my routine now. So, you know, I'm not just a performer, musician. Now I'm a teacher as well, and it's something I never thought I'd do, Brian. You know, it's like if you would have asked me. You know, I would never have thought I would have done that. I'd never thought I would have loved it as much as I do. But yeah, it was incredible. You know, I you know, a lot of good come out of lockdown for me. I'll be honest with me. I did a lot of searching, really went deep in myself, you know, as far as like doing the academy, but, you know, also the music as well. So every cloud.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that, because I remember hearing a phrase a few years ago that the best way to learn is to teach. And it sounds like that's been, you've been teaching a lot of people and you've learned a lot about yourself, and obviously you learned about all the process as well. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years now, Brian. You know, it's a long time, but it's just when you're teaching other people, you know, it's seeing other people's, you know, kind of views on things, and it's really, really super helpful. So yeah, I mean, it's win-win, you know. Even me, because you're learning every day, Brian, like yourself, you know, you're learning all the time. You're never like, right, I know everything now, that's it. I'm learning all the time. I'm like a sponge. I'm always watching YouTube videos, listening to, you know, talks and everything. And I think it was just, you know, throwing myself in that during lockdown was just so beneficial for me for many reasons. And like I say, it kept me sanity, because I know people who've really struggled. I'm sure you do. And, you know, we've all struggled, but I know people who didn't, you know, do certain things and just chose a different option, just to just watch Netflix and stay in bed and you know, go down that road. And it's tough. But I was lucky enough to have that in me to get up and say, no, Christian, sort yourself out, you know? So yeah, no, it was something I didn't think I'd get to do, but, you know, because of lockdown, you know, I built this whole academy now, and yeah, it's great.
And your current situation, are you back doing gigs and stuff now, or is it still you're mainly doing the stuff from home and your academy and stuff and teaching people, or are you back doing shows? Yeah, have you performed?
Yeah, do you know, For me, I mean, I had a bunch of shows booked in October, which got cancelled because of visa situations just before they unlocked some of the stuff. So I've kind of written this year off for performances, Brian. But next year, I want to, I'm looking for next year to be, a busy year. But I've been, very prolific with the writing and, got some great releases coming out. And, like I say, I've been just churning out loads of music. So it's been a great year to kind of catch up on that and get some things in the bag for next year. But yeah, I really want next year. I'm excited and I'm working myself up, I'm getting myself in shape. I want to be in the best shape of my life next year. It's funny because usually like this time of year, I just start like eating just crap and just the weather's crap and you don't feel like going out. But I'm really going to push it this year. I'm going to really, really work hard to get in good shape for next year. Mentally, I'm physically. And
do you see yourself staying in the UK, or can you see yourself moving back to the US?
Well, it's funny because my mum and dad asked me this question as well. So like, son, are you staying? So I think for me, the world's just still a little bit, it's not calibrated yet. And so I'm going to stay here for another 6 months and then I'm going to review the situation and see what I want to do. Whether I go back to LA or not, I don't know. I don't know. I'm keep thinking about Nashville, keep thinking about it because I've been there a few times and I really love it. I really love it there. So who knows? I'm not making a decision at the moment. I'm going to stay here definitely in the UK for another 6 months. And it's been great to be surrounded by friends and family. I've really loved that. And I really missed them so much when I was in LA. FaceTimes are great. They're not the same, So for the moment, Brian, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's a dream of mine to live in America someday. I think I just have this sort of idealized version of America in my head from being a kid and watching the movies and TV and all that. But I know myself, I was in LA at the beginning of 2020 in January and I stayed in downtown LA. And I know LA has this sort of real... luxurious thing attached to it, but I was sort of walking around downtown LA going, this place is a bit of a fucking kip.
I lived there for 6 months in downtown LA. Yeah,
it's like there's so many homeless people. The level of people actually mentally ill, not with bad mental, but mentally ill walking around. I remember the first time I was ever in LA, it was about 10 years ago. And the guy who was looking after me was showing me around LA and we were driving through Beverly Hills. And there was this homeless guy. He was just walking along. This was in the most upmarket part of Beverly Hills you can imagine. Literally just dropped his trousers and took a big shit in the middle of the road in front of everyone. Just pulled them back up and walked on. I was there like, this is America.
That happens in Wigan actually as well. No, you're right. And it's really sad to see because I lived in downtown and it's like you get used to the noise after a while. But, there is a huge homeless problem in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas and downtown. It is. And it's very sad, because it's a different kind of system over there as far as if someone's like that in the UK, they get sectioned, they get taken in, they get taken care of. And it's not really like that in the States. And, it's a huge problem and it's just gotten worse over lockdown, since COVID. It's gotten the homeless problem in Los Angeles has gotten a lot worse. And, I know a lot of people who've left Los Angeles, since even people were leaving before because of this problem, because it's just everywhere.
Isn't there like homeless people like literally living outside $5 million mansions in like certain parts? Because San Francisco's even worse for it. Like the level of homelessness in San Francisco is scary. And I remember one of the last times I was there, you could just sense how angry people are living there. That because San Francisco's so expensive to live in, and they have to. There's just homeless people. It is very sad to see that it's like that because it's not really like that over here. Obviously, homelessness is an issue here, but it's to that extent over there. It's crazy, and the sad thing for me as well is a lot of them seem to be like army veterans and stuff, and these are people that have served their country and they come back and they're not looked after. But that's a whole different, completely.
Yeah, no, it's heartbreaking, Brian. It really is heartbreaking, and it's real. It's a real problem they've got. And I hope, the American government kind of they've got to find some solution to it, because it just feels wrong to have so many people who are desperate for help who can't get it, through a few bad choices in life or whatever. But it's just, it's getting worse and worse as well. So it's sad. And like you say, we do have a homeless problem over in the UK, but it's not nearly as bad as what it is over there, and I think the government do a lot more for the homeless over here. That's my opinion. But like you say, when you live there, instead of visiting there for a gig or going there for a vacation, I'm not American, for a holiday, you see a different side to it, and Los Angeles is very much a city on the edge. And this came to fruition when lockdown was on, and you've seen the riots kicking off and everything. It's just, it's not quite like you see in the movies.
No, it's not. It's not. No. Certainly not. And life isn't like that either. I'm learning more and more about that. I think we grow up thinking that life is meant to go a certain way for us, but I'm telling you now, it's not fucking like that at all. Life is challenging. It throws things at you. And it takes a lot of resolve and to get through these things, because I'm going to speak about something now that I've never really, obviously it's something very recent, but the week after I played at Creamfields, I found out I was going to be a father for the first time. So obviously couldn't believe it. Incredible. Two of us were absolutely delighted. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a happy ending. So I'm going to go into it. Sorry, I know it's a little bit difficult to talk about, so hopefully I can get through it. But the Wednesday after Creamfields, my wife took a pregnancy test and it was positive. And I remember I was sitting in the studio with headphones on my head, couldn't hear her screaming. She was coming in screaming, and I just couldn't believe it. I just fell on the ground and never felt that amount of emotion in my life. And then for 3 weeks after that, everything looked really good. I've never felt as happy. I was playing those gigs. I was just on that stage, and just like it felt like things had changed. Things had got better. Back playing gigs, back traveling, back earning my own money. Something that we've wished for was coming true. And then on the 24th of September, I'll never forget it, we went in for an early scan, and she put the thing on her stomach and took rubbed the thing on her stomach, but there was nothing there. So the woman doing the scan asked my wife to go in and empty her bladder, and she'd do an internal scan. And she did the internal scan, and she said, "I'm sorry, it's not good. There's no heartbeat." So the baby had stopped. The baby had stopped.
All right, Brian. I'm so sorry, man. 6 weeks, and I can't even describe the pain of that moment. It was. I've sat at the side of my bed when my dad died, and the pain of that moment was 1,000 times more painful than that. So I just let out a roar of just complete and utter pain, and just couldn't believe it, and just utter shock. And then we sort of just got up and had to drive home. I barely even remember driving home. I had to drive home for about 35 minutes and just got home. And then for the 2 days after that, after realising my wife was after having a miscarriage, I can't describe the pain and the hurt and the emotions and the amount of tears, and just my body was in physical pain, like pains in my chest, like I could barely stand up at times. So we had to go back in to see. We got it done privately because we just wanted to see. Because we had to go into the hospital then to have it confirmed. And we went back in on the Friday after and had the scan, and it was confirmed that it wasn't even a thing called a normal miscarriage. It was called a silent miscarriage, and that's when a woman has all the symptoms of pregnancy. Everything looks like it's fine. Her body still thought she was pregnant, but the fetus had stopped growing at a certain stage. So to just trying to deal with that, and
I'm dealing with my own pain, and then to see my wife in the same sort of pain, and something that we've wanted for so long, and to have that taken away, it was very difficult to deal with. And the fucked up thing is, I'll never forget it. The 24th of September was a day where I had a track called Euphoric Recall released, and I'll always remember that day as possibly the worst moment and worst day of my life. So just weird things like this, but that's the bad side of it, and obviously I'm still hurting a little bit and stuff. But
well, condolences from me, mate. You know, I can't even comprehend how you feel. So
no, but this is the thing, Christian. This is so common, and this is what I've really learned in the past couple of weeks. And I've sort of been through the shock and the hurt and the depression and stuff, and we both were quite the two of us have we're fucking mentally strong with stuff that we've gone through, so we were able to move into the sort of the acceptance stage quite quickly. Obviously we're both hurting and stuff, but we've learned how common this is. I've learned how common it is with people that I know. Some of my best mates in this scene, some of my best mates in life have gone through exactly the same thing, and I had no idea about it. One of my good friends who's been on this podcast has been through something similar. I was speaking to another friend. I let him know the situation, and he said he's gone through 2 in the last 2 years. Another person I know has been through 5 of them. So I just wanted to come on today and to speak about it, because I know there's a lot of people around my age who will listen to this podcast or who follows me who are going through exactly the same thing. And I think last week it was like early pregnancy loss Remembrance Day. I think it was last Friday. So I really wanted to speak about it as well. So I just wanted to let people know that it's a serious trauma to go through, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And for anyone going through it out there, I know exactly how you're feeling. And I've so much respect for people who have gone through it and then who have got a positive result after, where they've gone on to have families and stuff. But at the end of the day, it is a trauma, and it takes time to get through it. So just, if you can, reach out to people, reach out to support groups, because this is so common. The amount of people that I've spoken to in the last 3 weeks that this has happened to, and it's really difficult. And I already feel a little bit better getting this out and speaking to you today. And sorry for springing you on this, man.
Listen, I think it's important, Brian. I think, thanks for being brave and just sharing that today. I think, ultimately it's going to help. You talking about it is going to help a lot of people out there. Things happen in your life sometimes. And I think the best thing with these things that happen is to talk about it and share it and try and help somebody else. And I think that's what you've done here, Brian. And I think, mate, listen, this is tough, and just be kind to yourself, both of you guys. It's a really tough thing to go through. I personally have never been through anything. I can't comprehend because I've never been through that, but I know people who have, and you're right. It is a very common thing, but man, just it's brave of you to share that on here, mate. But I think it's really going to help a lot of people, Brian. So, but
you need to take the positives from it as well, because it means that it's happened. Unfortunately, it didn't happen this time, but we have to take hope, and we have to be hopeful that it will happen again. So we'll continue doing what we do, and hopefully we can get a positive result moving forward. But it's just it's something that I had to speak about, man. And I know there's going to be people listening in that this has happened to, so I just wanted them to know that if they want to message me or anything like that, they can reach out. And it's tough, man, but we'll get through it. As I said, it's very, very common, but it doesn't take away from the pain of it or anything like that. But it just follows back to what you said. Like, LA is not like what it is in the movies. Our lives aren't what it's like in the movies. Like, we go through these difficult things, and I think it helps people a lot to hear people who have gone through similar things in their lives. So it's people, they might see me DJing and whatever. But the main purpose of this podcast is to showcase the reality of life for artists, or for like yourself or myself.
Yeah.
Like Instagram and stuff is this bullshit layer of perfection that doesn't exist. I honestly feel more comfortable coming on here and speaking about my flaws and the difficult things that I have to go through in life, rather than to put up the facade of perfection and life is great on Instagram. It's just this. I feel like this is more real. I think people connect with this stuff more because it's real life, and it's what happens to people. The fucking filtered photos, all that stuff. I know it's good to show off yourself, and it's stuff we have to do as part of this job. But I think it's important to show the reality of our lives as well.
I think you're right, and I think my worry is about the younger generation who have never known a world without social media and Instagram and comparing yourself and all that. And I think you're right. It's about real life, and life is hard, and life throws you some massive fucking curveballs sometimes. And I think talking about these things, and I think it's great what you do on the podcast, Bryan, and it's super helpful to people. It's gonna be just better to be real and just help people, knowing that you're helping people, because I myself have had things in the past, and I've helped a lot of people with mental health over the years as well, since I went through some traumas many years ago. And I think it's almost like it feels like a responsibility to me to be able to do that, to do that to people. It's the least I can do as a human being, is to try and help someone else. So I think you talking today about that, Bryan, I know it's hard, mate. And listen, it's painful, and it's okay that it's painful, and to mourn. And you are a strong person. You will get through it, but it's hard stuff for you to go through at the minute, mate. But just know that you are helping a lot of people, because there's a lot of things like that people just don't talk about. And I bet you till you came out with it, I bet you didn't know, like, oh, I've been through that, and you didn't know, because people just keep it inside, And I think it's I think it's going to help a lot of people, Bryan. I
think that because there's a lot of stigma around it, because I think when you get to a certain age, you're sort of expected that, you just have the kids. But unfortunately for some people, it's just not that. It doesn't happen that easily. And to be constantly asked those questions, when you having kids, like you don't. If for anyone out there, don't ever ask anyone that question, because you never know what's going on in people's lives, because they don't. This, as I said, people don't talk about this stuff. So if you have friends out there who are of a certain age, if they're married a few years, don't ask them that question, because it's you don't know what's going on in people's lives. It's a very, very difficult thing, and it's a primal thing where we want to continue on our bloodlines, and then if it's not happening, we feel guilt and we feel shame about it. So if for anyone out there, if you know people who just don't ask that question, please. Just try to show support, or just don't ask that question at all, because it's a frustrating thing to have to sort of keep answering when you see other people and it's happening for them as easily. But at the same time, you might think it's happening as easy for other people, and then you talk to them and they've been through the same type of situation that I'm going through. But I appreciate you letting me talk about that, Christian.
It's important, Bryan, honestly. Yeah. I think people are going to get a lot of help from that. So it's hard for you, mate, but absolutely, mate.
Let's go back talking about yourself. Obviously, you experienced a lot of exposure and a certain level of fame when you were part of a group called BBMak back in the early 2000s. Let's go back and talk about that, because you had number one in America. You were touring with Britney Spears and stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah. We got together in '96. Sound like an old man now. But yeah, that was incredible. We went on to sell 3 million albums worldwide. We toured with Britney, with NSync. We were all over the place. We were on the Jay Leno show about 3 or 4 times. We were just in America. It just went bananas. Honestly, it was crazy times. But yeah, I mean, I think I was a younger man then. And, I'd just been thrown into this arena of like, this is before social media or anything. This was, we were just on TV. We were getting when you get something huge like that in America, you go out and everyone recognizes you straight away in the street. It's just a crazy thing to kind of deal with. And, it was great. A lot of fun. We were I was at the Playboy Mansion at parties, and maybe we'll save that for a different podcast. But it was a crazy time. And, after 3 years of just being like physically exhausted through, some of the exhaustion was due to late nights, parties, drinks, drugs, all that stuff. You get, plus you're working all the time, but you're young and you're excited and you're having this success and you've got money in the bank and a Porsche on the drive and all that. It was a lot. And I found myself coming towards like 2003, when we took a break, like a 15-year break, actually. I was broken. I was broken physically, but mentally I was broken. And for the first time in my life, I was in this situation where I wasn't in control, because I started getting panic attacks. So I started getting anxiety panic attacks. I remember I had my first one. I was in Leeds. We were doing some show, and I went to this Thai takeaway. I was staying in Malmaison in Leeds, and I went to this takeaway around the corner. And I was looking at the menu, and the menu started going weird, tunnel vision, and my heart started going boom, 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 racing. And I thought, shit, what's happening here? What the fuck? I thought I was going to die, or my heart was going to explode or something. And I kind of, it went, oh, and then it went down and I just kind of everything went, I had like weird buzzing in my head. Everything went weird and tunnel vision. Stumbled back to the hotel and got my tour manager, and I was just like shaking in the room like this, white. And he took me to hospital, and they said, oh, it's anxiety. And I've never had this before. And this was just the start, Brian. And it started getting worse and worse, to the point where I started to get really, I couldn't, I had this constant knot of electricity. This is the only way I can describe it, in my chest at all times. I couldn't really be with people. I couldn't do any meet and greets. I was on stage and I was having panic attacks on stage, like during a performance and playing guitar. And I don't know how I got through it. I remember I had one, I was on this show. I was on a TV show getting interviewed, and I had a panic attack on the TV show getting interviewed, and had to suppress that panic attack. So you can imagine how horrible that was.
Horrible,
that was traumatic. And it was getting to the point where I was starting to wake up. I'd wake up every morning and I would just be crying. I would start crying. And, for me, this is what I thought, I'm going crazy. I've got money in the bank. I've got, girls chasing me. I've got, this success. I'm like, at the time, I think we were top 3 in Australia. We had all these opportunities, and I couldn't, I was like, why am I so sad? Why am I so sad? And it got to the point where, I couldn't then do my job, and the days got darker, Brian, I'll be honest with you. And if you've ever been in that situation or in that state of mind, I could not see a way out. I couldn't see a way. You could say to me, Christian, there's £5 million, whatever. And I was like, nothing could make me happy. And it wasn't until I thought, I've got to do something. I was literally a wreck. I was a shivering wreck, honestly. And if you know me, Brian, I mean, we've met, recently, but I was always the life and soul of the party, funny guy. Hey, you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't like me at all.
Yeah.
And, what happened was I could not see a way out of this. And then the thoughts started to get darker and darker, if you know what I mean? Because I was thinking, what are my options here? So I seeked help, which is the most important thing I did, because for a while I tried to just
suppress it.
I tried to not, I'm feeling ill today or whatever. tried to suppress it. And it got to a point when the thoughts started to get really dark. I thought, I've got to do something to help myself here. So I spoke to a therapist, I remember in London, and I actually spoke to my family, my mum and dad, and told them everything. They came down to London. It got that bad at one point. I couldn't go out the hotel, couldn't go out in public.
Agoraphobia.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a, shivering mess inside the hotel. And so my mum and dad came down, literally had to sit on the bed with me and watch movies. And it was really scary. But I spoke to a therapist, and what this therapist did is explain to me, what was going on, and that it was all chemical imbalance in my brain. Okay. I wasn't going crazy. Mine was, it can be caused by all kinds of things in life, by the way. It's not, mine was caused by all these highs of being successful, selling millions of albums, winning awards, being famous, blah, blah, blah. All this amazing stuff that was going on. It was causing stuff. And I'm sure the drink and, smoking weed and all that stuff didn't help, but when she sat down and explained to me, Christian, listen, you're not going crazy. Okay. This is a common thing in the entertainment industry. This is a common thing in the music industry and in, Hollywood and or everything like that. And that it's a chemical imbalance, okay, in your brain. Once she explained that to me, I remember, and with these things as well, with depression and anxiety, it's not like one day you wake up and it's gone. For me, it's like a track fades in, hits a peak, and it fades out. Okay?
It's something that you manage. You'll never ever get rid of it. You take certain steps and change things, the way you're doing things, your food, your diet, exercise, meditation. It's about managing it and like cutting out stimulation, get rid of caffeine and reduce, if you smoke, stop smoking, reduce your alcohol intake. Absolutely.
You do what you can, Bryan, to help yourself. But what happened to me was the way I thought, this is never going to go. This is forever. I can't live like this. This is just the worst thing ever. And I wasn't, the scary thing was I wasn't in control, because I was always in control of everything. Even if it was drinking or whatever, I was always in control of everything. Okay. But for this one time, I wasn't in control, and that was the scariest thing. But then I remember one day I woke up and it must have been about 10 seconds where I felt normal. I can't remember what happened. I think there was something on the radio or a song come on or something. And just for 10 seconds, I forgot about this depression and this, this black cloud. And I just started to think, wow, if I can do it for 10 seconds, I can do it for 20 seconds, and there was that little tiny glimmer of hope. And I latched onto it with everything I had, everything inside me. I latched onto that 10 seconds of like normalness I had, because that's what I've been craving. I've been missing. And slowly but surely, Bryan, that 10 seconds turned into, 10 minutes, and then turned into, 20 minutes. And then over the series, over the course of about, 18 months, 2 years, slowly started to build it up, and to the point now where I'm in a place of strength now. I can talk about it. When I was going through it, I was kind of a little bit scared to talk about it with other people, because I was scared of triggering it again. But I don't feel like that now. And the one thing I would say to anybody who's going through anything like that is you can get past this. You really can. And just know that it's it's okay to ask for help. Okay. It's actually a strength to go and ask for help. So don't put that off. Talking about it really helps. It's really good to talk about it with people and people you love, but go and get help. Go and see a doctor, go and see a therapist. You can't do this on your own. Okay. You need to get help. And that's one thing I wish I would have got help soon, because I suffered in silence for like 6 months. It was really bad, and I was suppressing it. And imagine that the energy that sucked out of me, man, was like incredible. So now, I talk about this, like things like this whenever I can, and throughout my life, with friends and stuff, I see the signs, Bryan, and I kind of throw an olive branch out, and I've helped people over the past 15 years, like overcome it as well, because I know what a dark place it is. But you can get past it. And like you said, Bryan, you know, it's okay to have a day where you feel like shit. You can't feel like great every single day, and need to get your head around that and know that's just part of life. Yeah. You know, tough things happen, traumatic things happen, Bryan, like what you've been going through. You know, these traumas in life, they're just part of life, and you've got to accept them as much as you accept the good times. And I think, you know, you've got to just get the balance right. But if it does get bad and you feel like, you know, you've got proper depression, just go and talk to someone, go and see someone. And yeah, anyone, you can obviously DM me if you want any advice or anything like that, you know, on Instagram. I'm always happy to help and give some advice on that. Because it's a real thing. And I think, you know, a lot of people have been struggling during lockdown. You know, a lot of people, it's been a trauma for a lot of people. So just be kind to yourself. Really, really be kind to yourself. And like you say, Bryan, do things that can really support yourself and help yourself. Healthy diet, okay? Cut out alcohol, booze, any drugs, you know. Exercise is a great one. Even just going for a walk, even though because when you're going through it, Bryan, you don't feel like going exercise, and it's the last thing you want to do. You just want to kind of curl up in the fetal position and just sleep all day. But really, really push yourself to do these things because they're so beneficial and they can really help you. So yeah, I mean, but it's a real thing, Bryan, especially in our industry. I know a lot of people who've been suffering. So
exactly, yeah, that you're 100% right. Excuse me, what you say about the highs, because especially for the industry that we're in, being on stage, people screaming our name, thousands of people coming to see us, all that type of thing. To go from that to then sitting in a hotel room by yourself and on a plane by yourself, and it's like you're going from one thing to one thing very, very quickly, and then to sort of go back into normality. I have to go to the shop to buy stuff. Like to go from that high to that high is very, very difficult to deal with. And I went through something very similar to yourself when I was about 26, 27. Never experienced anxiety, anything like that. I've spoken about it on the podcast before, but it was my body's way of telling me that how I was living my life wasn't doing me any favors. So I changed the way I live my life, started meditating, started going to the gym. And anxiety was something that I've had to deal with. It's I'd say about 12 years. In terms of it now, I think I have a really good hold on it. I just think how I live my life. I get up every morning, I go to the gym first thing in the morning, I eat good food, I have a good diet, I have good supplements. I just take care of myself. I really do take care of myself. And what you say, yeah, very important. And what you say is, because I've gone through so many challenging times in the last 10 years personally, it's made me stronger, and it's made me given me the flexibility to be able to adapt, to get through and to cope with certain situations, because life doesn't get easier. It's just we get stronger. It's like going to the gym, you lift a weight. After 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the weight becomes lighter, and it's not because the weight is getting lighter, it's because you're becoming stronger. And because when you go through heartaches and tough times, you're getting more and more mentally resilient and flexible. And when these things happen, you have the knowledge and the know-how about how to get through them. But as you said, it's very important that if you feel you're in a very, very bad place, to speak out and to contact someone and to get help. And as you said, asking for help, it's a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness.
Absolutely.
It's so many people especially in the last year and a half, so many people have gone through a very, very, very difficult time. So you're not alone if you're going through that. So if as you said, if people want to reach out to yourself, Christian, they can DM you. I've said it from the start. Anyone, if I can help out anyone in any way, they can do exactly the same thing for me. We need to look after each other. We need to care for each other, and especially with what's happened, we've gone through a once in a lifetime situation in the last year and a half, and it's obviously going to be very hard for everyone. So if you got through it, you're a lot stronger than you think, and that's the thing. We sort of seem to put ourselves down and clip our own wings and bring ourselves down, but we're a lot more stronger than we think. And I think the experiences that we've had in the last year and a half have shown that. So just keep on going. And if you're going through a tough time, the best word to look at is going. You're moving, you're progressing through it. You're not stuck, you're moving all the time. So just reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to a professional, reach out to myself, reach out to yourself. Obviously, we're not professionals, but we have experience of what it's like to go through that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know what it's like to go through that tough time and to come out the other side and to still be here. So just keep on going. That's all I can
No, really absolutely. Say. I love that what you said, Bryan, about life doesn't get easier. We get stronger. It's so true. But yeah, everything you just said, mate, just be kind to yourself through the whole process and know that you're not alone. Okay. And that it's very common. I think, I forgot the stats, but, most people go through some form of depression at some point in their life, Could happen when you're 12. It could happen when you're 68. It doesn't matter, everyone's going through a lot. And a lot of the time, like you said before, Bryan, you don't know what's going on in people's lives. But just go and get help. It's like it's the best thing you can do. Don't suffer in silence. And I think in the music industry, it's that thing, Bryan, about like all those highs of performing, and then lockdown, everyone was like, oh, it's like it's coming off a drug, It really is, because that buzz you get with the crowd and be on stage and, all that euphoric, you're like, wow, to suddenly take that away, it's like going cold turkey on a drug or something, and it's that, I think that can cause chemical imbalances in your head. And I know there's been a lot of musicians who have been struggling over lockdown and I'm hopeful now that, now that things are back on, people are going to come out the other end, and get through this.
Absolutely. Let's look forward with a bit of positivity for what's coming ahead.
Absolutely.
So just before we go, Christian, what's your plans for the rest of the year? And you can let people know exactly what you're up to before we wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm just going to be, I've just launched my last album, Love Songs from Suburbia, a couple of months ago, which was, for me, it was a different approach, it was more deeper. I think everyone's BPM slowed down during lockdown. I know mine certainly did. But yeah, I've got some amazing remixes coming out off that. I've got, I'm working on the Academy. If anyone is interested and just want to talk to me about the Academy and what I've got going on, just DM me. And I'm also working on some new collaborations as well. So I've got something coming out in January actually with Ben Nicky and Greg Downey.
That's a big
track. I'm really
track.
excited about on Juno. And yeah, I'm getting excited. I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life at the minute, Bryan. I've just started. I don't know if you've heard of this thing. I'll tell you about the Whole 30. Have you heard about that?
No, what is it?
There's this Whole 30 diet. It's not like a weight loss diet. It's an elimination diet. So for 30 days, you don't have dairy, you don't have alcohol, you don't have refined sugar, you don't have fun. You don't have any wheat or any grains or any legumes or beans. You just literally eat vegetables, meat, unprocessed, and drink water. And I'm doing that for 30 days. And then after 30 days, what you do is you start to reintroduce these other foods. So like you'll say, right, I feel amazing now. Let's have dairy today and let's see how I feel. And if you go, oh, I feel like crap, right, well, that's it. Dairy's done for me. So, you just introduce things back. But it was my friend BT who told me about it. He's been doing it and he just swears by it. And what spurred me on to do this was when I was in LA, I went vegan for 6 months. Of course you did, Christian. You was in LA. I went vegan for 6 months. And honestly, Bryan, I felt amazing. Honestly, I felt amazing. And I think I slipped up one day. I had a bacon butty. And then I came back and went through a lot. And then I was just, meat and everything else, But I did feel amazing. So I'm doing that at the moment. So yeah, I'm just going to be working on getting myself in great shape, working on the Academy and writing a load more new songs to release next year. So yeah, I'm excited about 2022. I think everyone's happy to see the back end of this year. But let's look for next year to be, amazing. Let's have a really amazing, positive year next year.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm excited about, Bryan.
Absolutely. Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, won't be too long until I see you at a show again. We can continue on with the laugh we had at Creamfields.
Definitely, Bryan. Thanks for having me on, mate. And it's been a pleasure. Mate.
Pleasure, man. Thank you very much, Christian. Take care.
All right, see you later.